Thanks for tuning in and welcome to the Rise Podcast. And welcome everybody to the Rise Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Sandro Ferr, world-class striking coach from TriStar West Island 360, and my coach as well for the last 6 months. So it's an honor to have him here today. And we're going to be talking everything about mixed martial arts, MMA, the whole shebang. So Sandro, thank you for coming on the Rise Podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here, Nick.
Thank you. And you've worked with the best of the best. So your resume is too big for me to even be able to go through it. But just tell people some of the people you've trained with.
Wow. It's a long list. Listen, like I can go from world-class athletes, from kickboxers to mixed martial artists. Like I don't like to drop names, but I can give you one, which is a legendary one that represented the UFC at the age of 19 years old and retired, I think, at 42 or at 43 years old. His name is Vitor Belfort, known as the Phenom. I worked out of Montreal, Canada, John the Bull McDessie, which was a veteran and a pioneer like of the UFC. I was alongside some of the training camps of GSP.
Oh, wow, cool.
George St. Pierre. Recently, a couple of years ago, even before the pandemic happened, Roberto Soldick, which is from Germany, Croatian descent. He's known to be, now he's the two-time KSW welterweight champion of the world. He's known to be one of the best in Europe. And I say worldwide right now, like they're second to none to Roberto Soldick. And I can go on and on and on.
And you what you mostly focus on is striking.
Striking, yeah, exactly.
So I have a question. Why striking and not like into the wrestling jiu-jitsu? Did you have a passion for striking over the other styles of
like I can say the passion. Like I started in Kyokushin, knockdown Budo Karate, meaning it was very traditional, but it was known to be a martial art back in the day, which was very brutal. Like the knockdown tournaments were not forgiving. Like it was bone crunching. Like it was, there was no padding. There was no rules. Like it was knocked down or knocked out. That's it. So, and I come from that era where the IKO was the International Kyokushin Organization, which was worldwide. So there was one organization. Nowadays, it went into different organizations, like it actually evolved, but there's so many out there. It's crazy. But when we started fighting in the early 90s, it was the IKO. And then from there, like just to answer you on that question, like I went on to boxing. I was a Muay Thai practitioner. So everything striking stand-up, I loved it because I wanted to study the distancing, the angles, to understand what's different from Kyokushin to Muay Thai, from Muay Thai to kickboxing, from Dutch style to the American kickboxing style.
So you went through all of those?
All of those. And of course, I did meddle with wrestling. I did meddle with a bit of jiu-jitsu, but it wasn't,
wasn't your thing.
It wasn't my cup of tea. Like I did work with it, but in that era, I can say late 90s, early 2000s, it wasn't very recognized. It, like we had a lot of big egos, boxers, kickboxers, martial artists, taekwondo guys, kung fu.
Yeah, they were more separated and divided amongst.
It was all divided. It was crazy. Then came along one of the pioneers of mixed martial arts and kickboxing, which was a champion here in Montreal. His name is Conrad Pla. So he was the owner of TriStar Gym Montreal, the original one. I think was based out of Jean Talon Street. So he had the idea where to mix up all of us crazy savages all in one place.
Okay.
So that's how TriStar started to get born. Like guys that knew jiu-jitsu came in for sparring against boxers. Boxers came in against guys kickboxers. So like if you were built for this, you were built for this. So back in that era, like if you came into there and you got hurt, well, you saw.
Had the UFC start already then? Yeah.
I think the UFC started 2000 something or 19.
Yeah, 90 something. Yeah, I remember watching the first UFC. It was like, it was just like you have a sumo wrestler fighting a karate guy. Just anything went, no size, no nothing. Nobody cared.
It was looked at as more of a freak show.
Yeah.
So it looked like it really didn't look good to what it is now.
Yeah.
Now it's evolved. It's some of the best athletes on the planet.
Yeah.
It's like nutrition, physical conditioning. Like these guys are some of the best athletes on the planet. Like if you ask me, like these guys are second to none. But back in those days, like it was, like a barroom brawl. So, the guy stepped out of jail, like he needed $1,000 and he knew a bit of boxing. Oh, okay, like let's put this guy up against a judo guy. Okay, well, like we'll give him $1,000.
We'll see what happens.
Oh, yeah, like it was a freak show.
And what got you started, like in martial arts?
Wow.
Were you picked on? Were you bullied? Or it was just a passion for it? Because a lot of times that's the reasons why people started.
Yeah, well, look, like it's the typical, like it's the typical story with a lot of people, like they got bullied, this and that, and then they went to martial arts. For me, like I come from a family which was oriented around sports. Like I had uncles which were Golden Gloves boxers. Okay. I had my father, which was always an athlete, like he was a professional soccer player, then became a professional soccer coach. Oh, wow. I had another uncle which played ball, So
you were in that from a young kid.
I was always surrounded by athletes, but some were badasses and some were like just typical athletes. So the thing is, I was always surrounded. And like I told you before, we started the podcast, I grew up with Saint-Claude Robillard. Like I used to go to school, go home, and I used to have like my small gym bag, and I was 10 years old, and I used to go to Saint-Claude, and I used to meddle around that place, and I still know it till this day. I know every wall. If the walls would be able to talk in that place, I have seen Olympians, wrestlers, track and field guys, soccer players, judokas, martial artists, guys that went to the Olympics. I was there, like I was a little kid, like I used to run up like to the second floor. I used to go back down, like I used to go wrestle like with the Greco-Roman guys. I used to go do a bit of judo. I used to go to the boxing, which still exists today. Like the boxing place is still there.
And did you ever fight professional, amateur?
I fought in high-level Kyokushin knockdown tournaments. So sort of like
what does that mean?
It means like you can represent your country. So nowadays, like you could say professional, but it was elite. So when you qualified to represent your country, well, you went up against the best guy from New Zealand. You went up against the best guy from Belarus, the best guy from Czechoslovakia.
What are the rules?
The rules of Kyokushin knockdown, bare knuckle. Everything goes besides going to the crotch. And when you're bare knuckle, like we weren't allowed to go to the face, but knees and kicks and
to the head.
It was permitted, and it's bone crunching. So we had no pads, and it was
nothing, just
nothing,
straight
zero,
out.
Nada. And then when you
still pretty rough, man, for sure.
Rough.
Yeah.
Listen, like the Kyokushin knockdown fighters are known to be the most brutal fighters of all time. And then if you gave them boxing and kickboxing skills, well, they became some of the best K1 fighters on the planet. Yeah. So that was the granddaddy of K1 fighters.
Oh, wow.
Was Kyokushin. Like, I'm going to give you a name. Shihan Francesco Filho. He was one of the Kyokushin greats out of Brazil and then became a K1 great. Like there was Stefan Lecco from Germany. Like there was Andy Hugh. There was Ernesto Hus, like I can go on and on and on. And then there was Sam Greco, there was Mike Zambides, which you know. So all of these legendary guys, they came from the granddaddy of them all was Kyokushin. Then of course Dutch style kickboxing. Then of course boxing. So that was the professional realm.
Is that how? Would you say that's how it evolved to the UFC, or it has
no that has nothing to do with mixed martial arts. Like it has nothing to do with the UFC. It just like for me, because I was such a striking enthusiast, I can say I always watched like some of the best fighters on the planet. And back in the day, and I'm sure you remember this, we used to go to Hugo Sport and we used to make an order. We used to make an order of about $100 to get VHSs that came from Holland, that came from Japan, because I wanted to study these guys. So I had to go to Hugo, and then it took about a month and a half, and then I finally got the order. I used to drive back down here, like on St. Lawrence Street, like if I recall right, and I used to come and pick them up. But nowadays, like it's so easy. Like you just pop it into Google or YouTube. It's crazy. So now the new athletes of today have all this like with a flick of a button.
Yeah, it's true.
We
had to do research.
We had to research.
Figure it out.
That's why I say we are still in our era, still the purest martial artists because we wanted it, because we did the homework.
What do you what do you think today when you look at UFC, like the evolution, like
some of the best athletes on the planet.
Do you enjoy watching it? Do you watch UFC?
Yeah, of course. Now I do, but I'm not a big fan of it. I used to be because it was once a month. Now I find it's becoming watered down because there's so many fights. It's out of control. Like it's become so mainstream, which is it's good in a good way. It's good in one way, but for the purist, I don't find like it's that interesting no more because there's so many fights like that are going on. Like I like to see the originality, that guy, which I'm waiting for that month, like to see him go, which I'm not saying like the UFC like isn't something to watch. It's something incredible because you see some of the pay-per-views have some of the best fighters on the planet. But I just say like sometimes it's getting watered down. There's too many of them. Like there's UFC Fight Night, there's UFC pay-per-views, there's UFC this, there's UFC that. So then after a while, like you don't know what's what and who's who.
How's the Montreal MMA scene? Like
Montreal MMA scene.
I seen here little MLF, whatever. I see a couple of things. I don't really go into them, but I mean I see them, people posting stuff. But are they each separate division that people created? Is that really what it is? Like how does that work? And do you train any of these athletes?
I train mostly a lot of them.
Okay.
But the thing is what I can give you about the MMA scene here in Montreal is we're, to be politically correct, we have some of the most talented individuals in Canada. Quebec has some of the best fighters and athletes around, but there's some certain people or people that run the show that don't look into this as serious when they should, when we have the best fighter of all time, George St. Pierre. So that should be a door
for people to
my opinion, like they should take him as an example to give the up-and-comers that are 19, 20, 21 years old to go through that path and to become worldwide and to make a living fighting and being a martial artist like George did.
Yeah. But is he like in the probably 0.1% that could make it like
he is that 1%.
Yeah.
He is that 1%, but that 1% belongs to us in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. It's ours, and they don't use him. So he has to go all over the world, and he's so respected all over the world that we don't even take that. We don't take the advantage we have here with him. So instead of always focusing, and I get it, Quebec is a hockey town. Montreal is a hockey town. But at the end of the day, we have so many amazing world-class athletes. Like, can you give them a...
How does that happen? Like, how does somebody make it into you? Is it because obviously you got to be good, you got to be the best. Then it's about politics and connection. Well, somebody being able to push you up there.
You got to be the best, meaning not necessarily the best. Like you got to show determination. You got to have the right people around you. Like you have to have the right coaches around you. Like you have to have the right mindset. You have to have, like you said, pushing a tad bit. Meaning like you have to have a great agent, a good agent which works for you and has all good intentions on you. Meaning he knows that he might not make a bit of money with you right now. But so if he has that vision saying maybe in 5 years from now, like I'll be great. So the guy that's been taking care of George since day one, trust me, today he's good. Yeah. So,
but the average fighter, what does he make?
Wow. Look, I couldn't tell you because I'm not in that position. But from what I hear, or because I've been in the environment a long time, like if you're going to become a pro, you're not going to be rich. Like you can make between $1,000, $1,500.
Like just probably everything it costs you to pay for training, the food, everything you have to put in just to make $1,000, $2,000. I guess you go in it thinking you're going to hopefully, be that in that 1% and be the next George St. Pierre or
back in the day,
whatever.
I can say there was something which was a plus for some of these up and comers. They were allowed to sponsorships. So if you were a person,
you can't sponsor anymore.
Well, look, like
because I know they have a thing with Reebok.
Well, now like it's changed to Venom. So now it's Venom, which sponsors like the UFC and like they give them all the equipment and all that. Now I don't know exactly how it works, but what I do know is that back in the early days in the UFC, like the more sponsors you got, well, the more money you made.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So like that's why a lot of the old school fighters used to walk in with T-shirts with looking like a freaking billboard because every one of those names that they had on them like gave them $500, $10,000,
which probably they made more money that way than the fight.
Exactly. Then they had their show money. So You show up, like you get a certain amount. Then if you win, like you get a win bonus, but it depends who, when, and where. You got it? So you can come in and sign for $8,000. You win and you make another $8,000. Okay, so you made $16,000. Now you fly back to Canada, you get taxed. Then you have to pay a percentage to your coaches. Then you probably have to pay a percentage to your agent, which got you that fight. Then you have some medical expenses because you came back like busted up. So you probably came back with maybe less than $10,000.
That's crazy.
So, but that's back in the day. Now, I don't know how much it gained, but I've been hearing some horror stories, you know. But if you're properly managed, like I can say, like you can make good money, but it's very in the.
Why do you think people do it?
Oh wow!
Like I mean, you've trained fighters. What is it? Because you know, there's also this. Sometimes there's this prejudgment. You know, like people say, "Oh, a guy like he's a fighter. He's a knucklehead. He's just a brawler. He's angry." I agree with you, but I hear this stuff and I'm like, it's really not like that.
No, that's coming from people which are misinformed. You know, I can talk because I was one of them, but I was more of a Kyokushin knockdown fighter. But we're all the same. You know, like. We are the most disciplined individuals that you'll ever see, and we're the calmest individuals which you'll ever see or meet. When we go have supper, you think we want to brawl, like you think we want to get into it, because all week we've been in the gym throwing down, like we've been running, punching, kicking, jumping, getting slammed, getting punched. You think on the weekend like we want to talk about fighting. It's just a job like anybody else's. But some of us do it maybe because it's our only way out. Some others do it because they want the fame. Some others do it for the wrong reasons. I'm not saying that we're all good people.
As a coach, do you want to know why?
I don't really give a shit.
You don't care. You just like.
I want somebody that's authentic. I want somebody that doesn't bullshit me. I want somebody that is good to his word. And if he shows me that he wants it, then I'm going to give you my 110%. And I couldn't care less about your money. But if you come there thinking that, I'm going to do this, coach, I'm going to do this, show me.
Absolutely.
It's the purest place still today that lives. Because now we live in this social media era where everybody is capable of doing a lot. But in the martial arts, you're going to tell me anything in the world. And for me, it's still the purest place there, because you can tell me all you want, Nick. Like you did this.
You got to show me.
At the end of the day, like you got to show up and consistency. So if I see you got talent, but you can't always rely on talent, because I've had fighters which have had lots of talent, which brought them to where they are today. But today, when you're on that other level,
it's fucking hard work.
Then it's hard work plus your talent. Because your talent, like you can rely on it for so much. Then hard work, dedication, and then you got to sacrifice. You got to sacrifice the weekends. You got to sacrifice the Easters. You got to sacrifice the Christmases. You got to sacrifice the girlfriends. You got to sacrifice all that.
You know what? My son's playing basketball. I told him the same thing, because he was playing basketball and there was this shortest kid in his team scoring all the points.
Why is that?
And then I told him, I said, Noah. And then I went to speak to the parents. I go, can I ask you? And I go, this kid probably, I could see his footwork, probably does agility stuff. He's probably like training at home.
Exactly.
So I said, how many hours does your son train? 2 hours a day. Then I told my son, I go, you want to know why this kid's the best in your team? He's like, he trains every day 2 hours. I go, how many hours a day do you train? Well, I can't, it's too cold. I can't figure it out. Take a ladder, do agility stuff, do your strength training. You could definitely do something. And I think, like you said, that's the number one thing. Your talent will bring you as far, but then if you don't have the hard work will always be talent. That's what I really believe.
To speak about basketball, the best example was Michael Jordan.
I love Michael Jordan.
If you saw his documentary, you're the first one at practice and you're the last one out. And that's in every sport. You name it, martial arts, soccer, boxing, whatever the hell you want to call it. Even as a coach, like I don't know if I come in one of the first ones in there, and I try to come out one of the last ones.
See, when you told me you were coming early, I purposely came early because I believe the same thing. Whether I'm doing production, whether I'm doing training, whatever I'm doing, I always think I got to be the first one and the last one, because you got to lead by example.
Oh yeah, of course. Look, like I was taught at an early age, preparation is key in whatever you do.
Absolutely.
Now you can have talent, you can have this, you can have that, but like you can have connections, all you want. If you're not prepared, you're half-assing it.
shortcutting.
Yeah.
And
Doesn't work.
sadly, we live in a society where everything is about shortcut. I want instant
Now,
results. How can I find the quick way to get there the fastest? I'm like, look, easy way is the best way for long term and sustainable
I
goals.
understand efficiency.
Yeah.
That I understand. But nowadays it's getting out of control. It's like they're trying to make efficiency look like, oh, well, let's make a shortcut. Listen, there is no shortcuts like into becoming a champion. There is no shortcuts into becoming the best of all time. So like I was told one time, it's like when you don't need to talk about yourself no more.
Yeah,
And people talk about you, it means like you're doing something right. You know?
You shared a story about your knee. You had shattered your knee, or
Wow. Okay. Yeah, like I shattered my knee a couple of years ago, and twice. And how ironic is I shattered it in soccer when I was 17 years of age. Like I used to play high level soccer here in Montreal, like for La Sélection du Québec. And somebody slide tackled me from behind, and my meniscus ripped. Then years later, I had surgery. I had orthoscopic surgery. Then because I was always an athlete, like I recuperated with a gentleman, which I still see to this day, like he's my osteopath. And 2013 or 2014, I was moving around, sparring, messing around, and the individual just kicked me in the knee at the right place at the right time, and everything just went, it shattered. And I had to go for surgery one more time. And like I said it in one of my videos, I had to learn how to walk again. So it took me 2 years, like how to go up and down the stairs, walk it, get out of bed, and learn how to put weight on it again. And and doctors, which supposedly were sports medicine doctors, which I went, and I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to downsize anybody. This gentleman told me that I would never be able to walk straight again. This guy told me I would never be able to kick again. This guy told me I would never be able to walk into a fucking gym again. Well, look at me now. Fuck you.
I mean that's where your years of training comes to play, because you're challenged all the time, and you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna figure it out. And you can't, that's where that hard work ethic comes out.
Hard work, but at the end of the day, like you gotta have it. It's like, I'm not saying it was easy. Like you have to have that mental fortitude. Like if I may,
the grit, as I call it.
Grit, because a lot of people like are very strong physically and they're great athletes, but at the end of the day, like you're all by yourself. Look, like you could be at the highest of highs, no matter who you are. UFC, kickboxing, boxing, hockey, football, basketball, highest of highs. But when you fall from that high, it's the lowest of lows. And I'm not the only one who lived this. Like you can speak to a lot of other fighters, a lot of other people that are in this arena, and they'll tell you, we get along with a lot of soldiers that came back from Kabul, like from the Iraqi war, because they have some sort of the same stories, like to learn how to walk straight again, like to learn how to live in society again.
So you couldn't train, you couldn't coach.
I couldn't train, I couldn't coach. Like
for 2 years, you were just basically
2 years. Like
I gotta learn how to walk.
I was getting out of bed just to learn how to stabilize myself to stand up straight. So that took like 5 minutes. Then I had to learn, okay, put one leg in front of the other.
Wow.
And I'm going down.
That's determination.
That's too.
Because you could have, you think of some people that it just would have played victim. I'll never walk again, and it's not fair. Why is this happening to me? And just
that went through my thought process too. Look, Nick, like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like there was days which I wanted to give up. Like there was days which I was swearing at God. Like I was swearing at the world. Like I didn't understand why this happened to me. Like while some scumbags it's
fucking crazy. I know.
I was going crazy, but then like there were days it's like, if I don't do it, nobody else will. And then there were days it's like, fuck this, like I'm staying in bed all day, like I couldn't care less. And then people which were close to me, like they felt my wrath, so like it's not nice like to be in those positions. So the people which are around you, like your mom and dad and like the person which lives with you, it's like they see this, and some of them are not strong enough. So like you just fucking blow up in their face, like get the fuck out of here. I'm like, I don't want to talk to you.
You just lose your shit with everybody.
But it's like that.
What kind of clients do you like to train? Like, do you like the fighters? Do you like the average person? Do you like the, Do you like all of them, or do you have a specific?
I fucking hate everybody. No. Look, like there is no specifics. Like I just like.
Because I mean, if looking at you from the outside, somebody could be like, "Oh my God, it's world class." Can I? You know, the mom sitting at home, be like, "Can I train with this guy?" You know,
that's my problem. See, that's my problem, because a lot of people see that and they said exactly what you said. I want to create an environment where people, no matter if you're a Joe, if you're an amateur athlete or a professional, or somebody that just wants to get in shape, or somebody who wants to learn a striking art, or somebody that just wants to, you know, give a story back at the office. You know, it's like I'm open to that. But the only thing like I'm asking you to do is don't bullshit me. Don't waste my time. Commit. Come and see me. And don't give me excuses saying, "Oh, well, I can't because so and so happened this." It's like, listen, dude, like if you want to do this with me, I'll commit to you, but you got to commit to me. You know, that's how I see it. Like if you're gonna come there and you're gonna use me like a Walmart, it's like, "Oh, well, today I don't feel like it." Don't waste my time. Look, keep your money, but don't waste my time. You know, and some, but coach, like that's extra money. No, like I'd rather have quality than quantity, because all the people that I train, their quality, because they love it, because they leave me with a smile on their face, or they find it hard and then they go back home and they actually learned something. So then when they speak about it, it's like they actually learned something, you know.
Well, I enjoy it, right? It's been what, 6 months, I think, 8 months, maybe something like that with training.
About 8 months.
And like I enjoy it because, you know, I'm always learning something new. I'm always tweaking. I'm always, you know, working on something differently, making it better. And, you know, I mean, it's because people are always like, "Why do you have a coach? Aren't you a coach?" And I'm like, every coach, like, I mean, I have a therapist, I have 100%. A mindset coach, I have I do hypnosis, I do a lot of stuff. And I always say you got to check in your brain, check on your mind, check on your body, and, you know, constant improvement. You're always getting better. So there's always room for improvement, no matter how 100%. Good of a coach you think you are, you know what I mean? And everything you think you know, there's always somebody who's going to teach you something new, you know?
See, I go with the mentality, I still know nothing. So I'm still a student of the fight game or the student of the game in general. So be it martial arts, be it MMA, be it kickboxing, be it striking, be it Muay Thai, be it boxing, I'm always taking something, even from you, Nick, like I take from you. Why? Because some people are like, like you got more experience than so-and-so. It doesn't matter. When I work with some individuals, there's some things which you teach me, which I won't tell you, but I'm going to modify into what I do it. So for me, it's like, it's a thinking man's game. And at the same time, it's like I'm improving every day. So people are coming up and go, "Yeah, coach, but you've been doing this since the early 90s. I say, okay. And what do you think? I know it all? No, I don't.
There's always something.
There's always something new. So for me, I'm always reinventing myself every single time that I have like somebody that's more of a judoka, or somebody that's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu expert, or somebody that's a boxer. And I love to work with these types of people, because for me, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know that. So then I'm going to incorporate it in my stuff.
Because it's so hard to learn like all of it at 100%. So you're always picking from here, from there, and you're putting it together, you know? What are some of your future plans that you'd like to, any goals or any aspirations that you have that you want to achieve?
Well, I'm the type of individual that writes things down. So years ago, before I even went to I was already at TriStar. Like I had told myself, like I want to be a striking coach in the UFC. So I did that. I wanted to work with world-class athletes. I've done that, and I want to continue to do that. Right now, like I want to change people's lives. Like I want to make people improve. Like I want to make people, you know, touch something different. And for me, like, I feel good about myself. So it's just constant improvement, physical, mental, spiritual too. And just to better people, and future plans, bring them, you know, like if I could go back to 1FC, like I'd like to go coach like at the 1FC, like I'd like to go to KSW. I'd like to get another new professional fighter, you know, like
you have this young kid I see,
Yanis Azar or Nicky DeSantis.
Nicky DeSantis, I keep watching.
Nicky DeSantis is newer than you. Like he's so green that he's gonna.
How old is he? Like, is he 20
He's 21 right now. I've been with him for 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Built from the ground up. You know,
from scratch.
Yeah, exactly, from scratch. An individual that was working with him in a gym in Laval had recommended me. And he came to TriStar headquarters, like in Montreal, and he tried a lot of different coaches, and we just matched.
Yeah, you have to connect with the coach.
Yeah, exactly.
That's for sure.
Look, like I was presented to a lot of UFC fighters, and we connected or we didn't connect.
Yeah.
You know, like I've been around some of the best on the planet in the same room at the same times, and we just didn't connect. You know, like we.
And I think that's important, right? Because that's you build trust with your coach.
That, and he has to be open-minded to you and your ways and your
Yeah.
techniques,
Yeah.
and not only your techniques, but how the individual is. You know, like as a human being too. Because I don't like to coach scumbags. Like that's
I
that
totally
is my
agree.
thing.
I totally agree.
Because
If a guy's a douchebag, scumbag, doesn't matter. I agree with you. It's like, fuck it.
let's not lie to each other.
Yeah.
Like the martial arts environment, you'll have some amazing people. You'll have people which you're gonna say, wow, like I never knew like this people existed, and then you'll have the other
Fucking
side.
ego, yeah.
Like fucking
There's a lot of ego
pieces
and
of shit.
testosterone around. Like you see it, right?
Big ego, a lot of ego, but
How do you deal with that?
Uh,
Do you see it like at the gym? The guy's ego thinks it's better at what you're teaching, or
okay. Well, there are two ways I'm going to deal with
Yeah.
this. One is either you ignore them and then they are just going to wash away by themselves. If they take too much space and they start disrespecting, well, then there's a thing called the Shark Tank. So we ask him, listen, like if you want to spar, like you want to show me your skills a tad bit, like you got a mouthpiece, you got a headgear, you got 16-ounce gloves.
Let's go and do it.
Oh, okay, all right, cool, no problem. Okay, Shark Tank. So Shark Tank is he gets in the middle. We're about 4 or 5 of us, and everybody's doing 3 minutes with him at the same time. Well,
One after another.
3 minutes. Next, he has no break.
Oh, no break. I thought no 1 minute. Just boom,
So
right after.
there's 3 minutes, you and me. Then there's 3 minutes, so and so. 3 minutes. And he's stuck in the middle, and he has no time to take water. He has no time. So if there's 4 of us, it's 3 minutes each.
That's a good way to
and
challenge them.
You have to survive. Now, from there, a lot of them get their egos broken.
Yeah.
And they get humbled.
Yeah.
Some of them just can't cope with it. They leave.
That's the best way to filter them out, by the way.
They never come back.
Yeah.
Now that's a rugged way to do it, but those are only ones which
Those were the old ways they used to do it. Just beat the shit out of the guy who won't come back.
That's like the old ways, but nowadays, like we don't do it as often. It's just for the special cases, which when we see there's an open sparring, like the open mats, and we let everybody come in, but we make sure that everybody's secure. Mouthpiece, the 16-ounce gloves. It doesn't matter like if you have experience or not. We just make sure. And then we see this big guy, about 220 pounds, that's sparring against a woman that's an amateur fighter, that's a kickboxer, but she weighs 115 pounds. And he's nailing her with shots. And we're like, what the hell is this guy doing? So we watch from afar. We go, okay, this douchebag is going to get it.
Yeah.
Then us coaches, like, we go, okay, you're next with me. You're next with me. And then we humble them. Now, somebody, oh, well, that's not right, Sandro. Well, it's not right, like, to hit on a woman like 115 pounds either. So there is that occasional type of individual that comes to the gym. It's not all the time, but it does happen. And then there's the other egos, which they like to yap a lot. So then, like, they understand that it's a world-class gym. So
how do you prepare a fighter? How do you prepare his mindset?
Wow.
Because I get this question on my other channel where I teach self-defense. So I've gotten the question, two questions that I want to ask you, and they're separate but kind of the same. One is, when you're in his corner, how do you prepare him mentally? What's his mindset?
In his corner, meaning before the fight or while
before the fight, right before the fight.
Before the fight is like he has to trust in his preparation. If we didn't do the preparation right, then it's on me and it's on him. Now, mindset meaning you got to believe in yourself. I like to say these 3 things like to some of my guys, and it connects them a lot. Like I say, you're fire, you're unbeatable. You're water, you're ungraspable, and you're steel, you're unbreakable. And for those 9 minutes or 15 minutes, like if you're a mixed martial artist, you're unbreakable. You're unbeatable, you're ungraspable. Put that in your mindset. That's when you walk to the cage or the octagon, like they like to say, you have to put that mantra in your head. You got to believe in yourself so much that you're untouchable. And you got to believe in your preparation. So that's number 1. But it all depends on the individual.
Yeah.
You see, like if I deal with an individual that depends too much on his talent, well, then I got to shake him up and say, listen, like you got to be gritty. Like you got to make it ugly. And it's not a fucking fashion show. Like it's not a showtime. This guy wants to hurt you. This guy wants to make sure that you go to the hospital tonight. This guy wants to make you look bad, like in front of your family, like in front of your kids.
Yeah, you got to trigger something. Yeah.
There's some individuals which I got to trigger.
Yeah.
And then there's some individuals which I just got to remind them that they're the cream of the crop. It's like Nicky DeSantis. He's a young cat and he believes in himself a lot. But sometimes like I need to remind them. I said, hey, you're here because you're one of the best. You're moving with UFC fighters. You're moving with fighters from Bellator. You're moving with fighters from the KSW at the TriStar headquarters, world-renowned MMA gym. And it's 5 years, 4 or 5 years now. It's like, dude, like you gotta, you have to realize this. And it's like, yeah, coach, holy shit. Yeah, you walked off the street and now you're moving with some of the best on the planet. So I just got to remind them, you know, because sometimes like they're like, oh shit, what the hell am I doing here?
I guess it goes so fast. And when you're 21 years old, I always go back and I try to think, where was I at 21? What did I think I know, you know? So I think sometimes you just have to like, I mean, especially when they're younger, right? You got to like
mold them.
Find a way.
Especially now I find like there's so many distractions.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
You're
now.
right.
Like, there's
social media, all
nowadays
this stuff.
there's so many distractions. Back when we were in, you know, like we're not that old, but we didn't have all this freaking distractions of iPads, iPhone, this, that, blah, blah. We had no information. So if we wanted information, we had to dig for information or we had to work hard at it. Nowadays, like they have all the info and they're like, I don't feel like it today. So they have so many distractions. It like throws them off. Nicky is a new school, a new school fighter with an old school mentality. That's the best way.
That's a good one, man. You should put that as a quote or something. That should be in his tag or something. Yeah, I think that's a good one.
So true. Look, like I've seen fighters grow up at TriStar Gym, like Ayman Zahabi, which is the little brother to Firas Zahabi. Fuck, like I saw this kid was running around them at the TriStar Gym like when he was 14, 15, 16 years old. And now he's world-renowned UFC fighter. Mandel Nalo, which is known to be one of the best strikers in Bellator. I saw him grow up like at TriStar Gym too. Like there's so many of these guys. It's unbelievable.
What happens when they retire? A lot of them. Do you like?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Are they does your body take such a beating that?
Look,
I mean, all the wear and tear of.
Oh, you're absolutely right. That look like to have a life of a fighter, like you really got to be friends with your osteopath. And like you got to be friend with a massage therapist, and you gotta, you know, like I make fun, but you have to be very keen and prone to knowing your body. Yeah. Because fighters sometimes we're really hard headed. Like we'll have a broken bone and we'll say, fuck it.
It's still good.
Let's go. I'll give you a good example. Ryan Ford, like I don't know, like if you heard of him, he was a World Series of Fighting welterweight champion, and I had the opportunity to work with him. Like if you look him up, like this guy is the definition of a fighter, a fighter's fighter. Like he fights professional boxing, like he's a professional mixed martial artist. Comes from Edmonton, Alberta, and he had a hairline fracture on his forearm in training camp before he had to go. I think it was a World Series of Fighting against Jake Shields. And he kept on sparring. And nobody knew him that he had a hairline fracture because he hit it so well. Wow. And I don't know how the commission let him pass, because usually like the commissions like in Bellator and UFC, the World Series of Fighting or whatever. So not like we're going way back. I think about 10 years ago this. And he probably hit it well. They probably, did a half-assed job like of checking him, but he had a hairline fracture like in his forearm. So
imagine he still fought with it.
So he fights Jake Shields. Jake Shields gets him in an armbar, and of course, like he taps out. So people are bitching and whining, going, well, he's a wussy. I'm like, because he tapped out them is so quick. Dude, like he had a hairline fracture like on his forearm because he had taken a bad kick in sparring, because after the fact, like he spoke to me about it, and he had taken a high kick from I don't remember who exactly, and it snapped. So he heard the snap in sparring, but never said a word to us. So even us coaches, like, we're like, well, what the hell's going on? So he goes, no, coach, like, it's okay. I'm like, I'm just gonna ice it. No. And then he goes and fight Jake Shields, and he gets submitted with an armbar, knowing that Jake Shields is one of the best like jiu-jitsu practitioners out there, one of the best, you know. And so, you know, props to him. But people that don't practice this, we live in gyms, we bang every day. If it's not circuit training, it's sparring.
Right,
if it's not sparring, it's pad work. If it's not pad work, like it's...
you have to love this to do this, man.
You know,
if you
it's
don't,
like you do this six days a week. Like if you're a professional, like you're doing this 7 days a week, but you're going to take 2 days off. But off for the regular Joe and off for us is shadow boxing.
Still
training, you know. So that's one of the stories with Ryan Ford.
And you also worked in security.
Yes, I did close protection work for many years.
How many years did you work in security?
Oh, maybe 13, 14 years.
How did you
I managed.
how did you experience, like, I mean I talk about this in my self-defense channels as well, like difference between fighting in the ring, fighting in the street, or self-defense. How did you
stay composed? A lot of composure, try to defuse a situation before it becomes a situation. When I was working in those environments, like there was very bad environments, which I was in. So you had to work in crazy environments, like where the conflit travail, like we had people which did death threats to their girlfriends because they went to court and they had stooled on the boyfriend doing so-and-so that was part of a so-and-so gang. And then when he got out of jail, like he had death threats. Told her, hey, like when I get out, like I'm going to kill you. So we were the guys in between that. So we were expendable, you know, like that's like a movie now, but that's exactly what we were, because we were cheaper. So the police like were so expensive, like to, you know, to pay extra money and extra time and bonuses, while you had guys which were highly trained by ex-military people, and but we weren't getting the money which we actually deserved because we put our asses on the line. So I could give you some crazy ass stories, you know, but just to get back to you, because you're in that type of environment, we had to be very street savvy. We had to see the threat coming way before, and we had to rationalize it, and we had to make a decision quick, right away, saying, if I make the bad decision, well, he gets stabbed. If I don't make the decision, well, somebody dies. So we're like, okay, if I distract him with, hi, how are you, sir? Then he's like, who the fuck is this guy? Then the individual which I'm protecting, which they probably don't know, has time to leave. You know, so it's like
seconds. It's all seconds.
Exactly. Like it's split second decisions, which are everyday decisions, which people don't even look at.
You're right.
Look, like I can give you an example, which I was taught by an old cat, like which did a lot of protection work for Blackwater. He says, you know, when like somebody's getting riled up, you know, like just smile. That's how stupid it is. And so like you throw him off his game. Or else if he's so into wanting to hurt that individual and you have a coffee on your hand, drop it. So
pattern interrupt. It just
exactly. So then he's interrupted. So it's like, what the hell just happened? Oh shit! Like I dropped on my coffee, man. Like I'm so sorry. Now you just distracted him from wanting to hurt that individual for that fraction of size. So I learned with some old cats that were ex-military, ex-cops, ex-bodyguards from the 70s. Like if I may, like I can drop a name. I was trained with a gentleman called Sergent Mainville, which I don't know if he's still alive today. He was a protection agent, a bodyguard for René Lévesque, like in the 1970s. So we worked for a specific company where they used to bring these guys over, and we had seminars with them. So we had to pay like to get the close protection type of trainings, you know, like what to look for, who to see, how to distract an individual.
So much of it is in the mind. So much is about awareness and knowing what to pick up. And most people never know because they don't train for it.
Of course not.
If you don't train for it, you won't see it. How much did your martial arts, your MMA come in to help you in terms of?
It was the other way around. When I worked in this type of environment, when I was always a martial artist, this helped me out even more because it opened up, like, let's say a third eye, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
and I still have these old habits. Like if I walk into your home, like let's just say, I will sit at the edge of the room
Yeah.
because I want to see all the exits.
Yeah.
I will sit down and I will analyze you from head to toe, but
Yeah.
you'll never understand
Yeah.
why I did that, because I want to see like if you have something in your pockets, like I want to see like if you have steel-toed boots, like I want to see like if you have gloves on, like I just want to see it,
Yeah.
and I want to see your demeanor,
Yeah.
like if you're walking tall, your chest out,
Alright.
like if I see like you're more of a nonchalant type of individual. I studied this, so it's
Yeah.
human behavior.
You're
So
right. It's studying. It's
Yeah,
really
exactly.
well said. That's
and
what it
in
is.
martial arts, holy shit, like that's how I coach now. So
Yeah.
when I watch the coach that's coaching my opponent, the guy that's going to be
Yeah.
fighting mine, I see all these
Oh, that's interesting. It's true, huh?
mannerisms. So while he's sitting on the stoop and I'm talking to my fighter, I turn over sometimes and I just glance an eye, seeing if he's panting, seeing if his head is low,
Yeah. You'll
seeing-
absolutely. It's a good one.
seeing if he's bright-eyed, seeing if he's riled up. So then I know what to tell my guy. I don't always do that because like we only have a 1 minute,
Yeah.
you know, but sometimes like I catch a glimpse, I'm there, he's done. Just keep doing on what you're doing. His will is finished. But my fighter has no clue because he's going through chaos too at
Yeah.
the same time. So I'm the eyes and ears. That's where the coaching is.
That was my next.
Important.
That was my next question. Like, so why is the coaching so important? Is it? I mean, there's how much is the fighter? How much is the coach? I know it's a big question.
Wow.
If I don't know if you could put a number. It probably depends per
I
person.
can't
per
give
coach.
you a number, but I can give you something saying, you know, without a game plan in the high level, you know, like you can be in an amateur fight and you can rely on strength and speed
Yeah.
and your training, and that could get you through. When you're at a high level, meaning world-class athletes, meaning the best of the best, you need coaches to bring game plans. And game plans meaning that you got to study their tape. Like you got to know where they peak, where they don't peak, where, you know, what's their weak points, which at the world-class level, there is not many weak points, but you can see bad habits. They're like, that's the best way, like I can say it. Because weak points, like I can't tell you that world-class athletes have no weak points. They have bad habits. So sometimes like in the second round, you see they get nonchalant, like they get too relaxed. Like you can see, I'll give you an example. Donald Cowboy Cerrone always had the reputation of starting slow. And after a couple of years of fighting, you know, Donald Cowboy Cerrone, which is a legend and which is one of my all-time greats, but after so many years of fighting, he always did the same thing. So he started off the first round. So how to get on him? Pounce on him.
Right away.
Pounce on him. So like you throw him off his game plan because he's so not used to that. But if you play his game, you start nice, nonchalant, blah, blah, blah. He will pick you the fuck apart. You'll be in his realm.
So the idea is you study him, and then you put a game plan together with the fight, and you're like,
saying
that's the game plan. You got to stick to it.
Stick to it. But
Not stick to it, but I
it
mean,
doesn't always happen that way. But if my fighter could get a tad bit, like let's say 10% of that game plan going, because it's chaos, like it's a fight. Like at the end of the day, speed, strength, pain, kicks, punches, slams. So at the end of the day, like I'll tell him, listen, this guy doesn't like to be close. So make it ugly and make it gritty. My fighter won't want to fight like that because he wants to make it look like he has talent and he's technically sound. But at the end of the day, what gets that win? Because I don't give a shit how you look. At the end of the day, for me, like it's that W. Get that fucking win. But coach, like it looks like shit. I don't care. At the end of the day, like you get your hand raised. So this is how we beat him. There is, you know, this is how you fight, but this is how we win. So
that's a good one.
There is one thing about TriStar which I learned there because it was a learning experience for me when I was at the headquarters, like 99.9% of my time. There was a lot of great talent, a lot of great fighters, a lot of fighters which, like you would say, holy shit, like they're amazing, but why don't they win? There's great fighters, but then you got to know how to win. You know, so there's two different things there. Like people say, oh man, but so and so could kick so high and like he's amazing and he's got the cardio of so and so. Say, yeah, but he's not winning. Why is that? Because he doesn't have the proper game plan. We teach you how to win. And people say, yeah, but you don't need to win. Listen, when you're at that level,
it's about
winning is everything.
At the end, what's the
Money,
point, right?
winning, that's what it's
That's
all
how
about.
you keep going your career, right?
Exactly.
If you keep losing, nobody's going to want to watch you fight.
If you want to do it for a bucket list or you want to be an amateur and like do so. Yeah. But when you earn your living with this and you pay your house and you put food on the table like for your family,
man. You don't fuck around with that.
You got to give me a W. You got to give me that win. Yeah, but coach, like I beat him up like all 3 rounds and I lost. Why is that? Because you didn't follow the fucking game plan. Yeah. This is how you win. There's fighters of mine which you could look at and you'll say, holy shit, like this guy, he doesn't look like he's very good, but he's 5-0. You know why? Because he sticks to the game plan and he wins. And people are like, how is he 5-0, coach? Because we stick to the game plan and that's how we win. You know?
And so how do you... So basically, I love this whole strategy. So you break down how he fights, and then you tell the fighter pretty much this is
how we win,
and that's it.
I might get it wrong. Look, like I'm not saying like I'm a genius, but most of the time I get it right, you know. And sometimes you get it wrong, you know. Like I'm not saying I'm perfect, but a fight's a fight.
But so chaotic. You work on his striking, and then there's another coach who works on his wrestling.
On his wrestling and jiu-jitsu. So we have to mend well. Look, I worked alongside Firas Zahabi, world-renowned MMA coach around the world. He's known very well. I've had the pleasure and the honor to work beside some greats, and now I'm beside Neil Shepard, which is, you know, like I could call him like the right hand to Firas Zahabi because he's been there since the beginning at TriStar headquarters. So when you're learning jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts, it's like you're learning off Firas, but Firas gave everything to Neil. That's my opinion on that because Neil has been there like since the beginning. So Neil is my go-to guy when it goes to MMA and jiu-jitsu. For striking, well, I go to what's going on. Like if the guy's a kicker, a puncher, a guy that fights very close, a guy that's gritty, a guy that counters a lot, a guy that starts strong and ends low. So I look at this. Oh, the guy's got a good overhand. Oh, the guy likes to set up always with the jab. Oh, the guy has a sloppy jab. So I study that. And then Neil goes, okay, coach, when it goes to the ground, Neil, coach. When it goes back up, okay, coach. So we have. So you
guys are there working together, right there, just to get the maximum out of like the.
That's why, you know, we mend well together. Like we've built a lot of champions from the ground up because we understand each other. Because you have your role to play and I have my role to play, and I trust Neil with everything he says when it's to the ground, and I shut up because when it goes on the ground, like I know he knows what the hell he's talking about. So there's no ego.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of coaches have egos. Oh, well, I am going to coach him. Yeah, but you don't know jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So for me, like I put my ego on the side of the list. Like I worked with Nick since he's 16 years of age. And you worked him with jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts and wrestling. So I said, when it's time to do that, Neil, you're the man. Firas, you're the man.
I think that's what's interesting that you picked one kind of field and you just mastered that.
You know, like
because where sometimes a lot of people try to master a lot of things, where you have that one thing you said, this is what I want to focus on, this is what I want to be the best at.
Master of one, bro. Yeah. Master of one, not jack of all trades. That's something which my dad, like, he taught me. He said, you got to master one. And now what you do today, because mixed martial arts is jack of all trades. Yeah. So you master one and then you build around that.
Good point.
Nowadays, the kids, they walk in, they have talent, they're very athletic, right? Yeah. But they mastered nothing. They have no Kyokushin, they have no Muay Thai, they have no boxing base, they have no wrestling base, they have no jiu-jitsu base. But they train jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, and mixed martial arts striking. But they're not good at none of these. I say master one and then start adding tools. But not everybody understands that. George St. Pierre did. You see that?
What do you think made him such a great fighter?
Well, he's coachable. He's very coachable. You know, like it's as simple as that. Yes, of course. Like if
he's athletic. I watch his videos training. I'm like, shit. How old is he? He's 42, 43?
He's 42.
42.
I think he's 42. Yeah.
Man, I was watching him like freaking, in the cold baths, jumping fucking things still.
It's crazy when you talk to me about George, because George used to come and watch me fight, like at my Kyokushin knockdown days. And I never would have thought that George would have became George. Like he used to come and warm me up like in the back rooms. And
what do you think made him, like his mindset, his work ethic, his
team,
training,
look,
his team? It's probably a combination
you
of a lot of
said
stuff.
it all.
Yeah.
Determination, mindset, demons, look, let's not bullshit ourselves.
Yeah.
Like when you're a fighter, you have some demons.
You're a little bit broken, I say. There's a little bit of demons.
Man.
You know what? I don't know if, like, that's why I was talking to you about the mindset. Like, you're a little bit broken. Somewhere there's a little bit of anger. There's a little bit of rage. There's something that happened in childhood during where you just, you need that. And maybe you need to channel it right there in that moment. Obviously, you don't want to live like that. But
of course. Look, like the best thing to do, like I've met a lot of athletes, but I can say the best people that I've coached have been the broken ones, because you just guided them right. Listen, like one of my proudest moments is not people which I've coached in the UFC. Like a lot of people, like they ask me that. It's
because that's what you would think, right? That's what I would think.
Exactly. Nope. There's a woman which I met that was off the street. She was homeless. She had addiction problems. And I saw her hit the bag one time at TriStar Gym, and I saw fire there, but fire, like you wouldn't even believe it. And she's 115 pounds. Like she's like this little munchkin. And I approached her. I said, listen, like if you're ready to work and if you want to compete, look, like let's work. And, she looked at me like in a weird type of way saying, who the fuck is this weirdo, And years later, she became the first female TriStar K1 kickboxing amateur champion. So for me, it's one of my proudest moments. And she got out of the street. She got out of the addiction. Now she lives with her boyfriend. She is doing very well. So for me, like that's one of my proudest accomplishments. So like if I could say.
With that story, what do you look for? What do you look at? You see someone hitting the bag. You see someone who comes to you. What is it that you say, like, this guy has it?
Yeah, of course. Like I see that talent and that rage, like I want to change it into a flame which she or he could probably change their lives. So for her, it changed her life, and I had no clue. Like I just saw this person.
She had never done anything when she just hit it. She was just pissed off and just smacking the bag.
But she was good. So I said, okay, well, I could tweak her. And if she's interested, she has that. She has it. That it factor with people which are actors or ball players, you can see it, and I don't know, like I probably have a talent on me that I could have seen this. So, but I had no clue on me that she had all these situations like going on. Like I just said, hey man, like there's something about her, there's something really dark, but at the same time, like she's really a good person. So it's that's one of my proudest moments. Like I've got a lot of them, but that's one which sticks out. Like a lot of people say, oh coach, like you must have freaked out because you went to UFC, you went to the Bell Center, like you went to Rio de Janeiro, like you went to Vegas many times. Yeah, it's cool.
You didn't care. Like
it was amazing.
It was probably cool. It was an experience, but
amazing.
At the end you didn't, it's not an impact like what you did for this woman, because you changed her life more than
that. Is what I want to give as a message now, being a full-time coach, self-employed full-time coach at TriStar West Island. And
it's not easy doing it as a full-time career. I tell people being a trainer or coach full-time is not easy.
Ups, downs. You're hurt every day. Yeah. You always have to have a smile. Like you always have to be understanding. Like you always have to be, okay, well, let me put my feelings aside and all my problems aside, and here it's all about you. So after a while, like you're like, fuck you, but it's the human side to it. And I'm sure you go through the same thing because you're a coach, yourself. So there is days where you just want to shut your phone and people are asking you advice and you're like, fuck off. Why? Because you're human too. People tend to forget that we're not made out of steel. Yes, we're tough as nails because to be in this fucking environment, like you got to be tough as nails mentally.
But it's all mental, right? Because if you don't have the mental, the physical is not going to go anywhere. It's going to crash right away.
You know how many people like I've seen looking good, got the Muay Thai shirts, this and that, and a couple of years later, they're off the map. Where the fuck is this guy now? I don't know. I've been around this, and like I don't want to brag, but I've been in martial arts since 1994. I'm still here. There's a fucking reason for it.
So the passion, the love for it, and
survival, passion, love, ups and downs. Like I said it on one of my videos, I said the boxing gym, the martial arts gym, you name it, the Muay Thai gym, the people which surrounded me never discriminated against me. They never judged me. The punching bag, never.
That's a good one. Yeah.
They never criticized me, but everything else in life did that. Like they abandoned you. You lost your job. You lost your girlfriend. Like you lost family members. Like you got people which betrayed you. The gym never did that to me. Never. Yeah. And people like here, I go, really, coach? Yeah,
it's true.
It didn't judge me. I went there at 3 a.m. I had the key. I went in, boom, like I did my training. I felt good about myself, and nobody fucking told me nothing.
You see, when you see people lose weight and get in shape, when you see them learn something new, you see their eyes, you change their life. That's really what it is. And sometimes it's not, like I said, it could be the professional fighter, but sometimes just the average person that you get in shape. And, I had a client who lost her 60 pounds. And
amazing.
She was
I think I saw it. Like,
she was like so happy, and she hit her 60 pounds like in 10 months now. And I was like, you did it. What I mean? Like we were at
such an
50,
accomplishment. It's crazy. But now we live in an environment where, like, in these past couple of years, like, let's not bullshit each other. They're making health look like they're making us people look like we're the bad guys. But yet, like, we revive people's lives. Like, we make people stronger than ever, mentally, physically, psychologically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if you look good, you feel good, you do good. Now, and of course, people can say, well, you quoted George St. Pierre. No, that quote's been around a fucking long time, all right? Yeah. But the thing is it's true. Like, if you listen to it, it's true. Yeah. Like, if you lose 10 pounds and, like, you look good in the mirror every morning, you got to look at yourself in the mirror every fucking morning. And if you get up in the morning and, like, you look at that individual and you say, shit, like, I don't like this guy. You think that's going to be constructive? Like, no way, especially us coaches. Yeah. So when people look at me and they try to give me some advice, I not looking at the physical aspect, but I just look at them and I look at their mannerisms. And I'm there. No, you're not convincing me. Like, I'm not gonna.
And you got to lead by example, right? I mean,
100%.
As a coach, like, I mean, I've said this to other trainers as well. I'm like, you got to stay in shape, man. People look at you. You are the business card.
Yep.
If you're out of shape, if you don't practice what you preach, if you don't lead by example, why will somebody follow you? And especially, like, I have my son. He's 13. He's going to be 14. I mean, he's looking at me. And I always give this great example.
Best example.
Yeah. It's like when he sees me and I try to tell him, let's go train. He didn't want to train. And when he was like 11, 12, I would go downstairs. He would sit. I go, here, take the iPad and just play. Okay. But I would train just so he could keep watching me. Yes. Keep watching me. Now at 13, now he's like, he goes downstairs. He wants to train.
Amazing.
And he was telling me, he goes, Dad, most of the dads, like, I'm 45. Most of the dads, they're out of shape. They don't take time with their kids. He was telling me all this stuff, and he's like, and you realize how lucky he is. And it's because it's consistency, it's showing up, it's being there, and it's leading by example. And I think that's, like you said, a lot of times when people give me advice, I listen to it. But I always look at, I'm looking at their life, where it's coming from.
Yep.
What place is it coming from? And 100%. Are they leading and living that life that they're telling me about?
Yeah, and nowadays I find, like, a lot of people like to hear themselves talk.
Yeah, it's so true.
But at the end of the day, it's like, I want to see what you're doing. Like, I'm not asking you to be competitive with me, but I just want to see what you're doing. So if you're making a difference, then I want to take a tad bit of your recipe and
absolutely,
and put it in
for
mine.
Sure.
And I'm not the one to criticize, but I'm the one to analyze. You see, like, that's two different things. Like, a lot of people like going, well, coach, well, like, you're going to criticize so-and-so. I said, no. I'm analyzing him.
Yeah, there's a big difference, absolutely.
I do not approve of this, but I approve of this. But it's for me. It's not for you.
It's for me.
It's for me. And so, because you coach so-and-so. I said, no. You're using the cheapest excuses in the world. Like, that's being lazy. Yeah. It's exactly what's been going on, like, for the past 3-4 years. People have been lazy. Like, instead of getting informed on how to stay healthy.
Oh my God, you're absolutely right.
I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just saying, like, a quick example. Like, instead of getting informed on how to be healthy in general, spiritually, psychologically, and physically, they go to the shortest route. They go, fuck this. Like, I'm going to take a couple of pills. Like, I'm going to take a couple of protein bars, and I'm going to shove a mask in my face. And I'm good. Rather than cut down on drinking, eat properly, lay off a bit of the alcohol. Oh, guess what? Exercise. That's a fucking good one.
It's crazy because I told people during the 2 years of COVID, and I say this, I almost tripled my business. I learned how to build websites, landing pages. I trained every day. I was telling a friend of mine who's overweight, I'm like, bro, you're home.
Yep.
You're working from home. You have nothing to do. If you can't find 30 to 45 minutes to train from home, like you're bullshitting me. You're home doing nothing in a lockdown.
Yeah.
But again, some people don't have that willpower.
They need motivation. They need guidance. They need people like you and I that are going to help, that are going to suggest, not force, because a lot of people like like you're free. I'm not forcing.
It's discipline too, huh? That's what people lack, because motivation is like it's like starting the key, but the discipline is what you put in the gas tank. It's showing up. You don't feel like it. I tell this. You don't feel like it. Show up. You feel sick. Show up. Always just be there. Consistency.
How many times have you felt like not going to the gym and then you kicked yourself in the ass? And you went anyways, and then you had the best workout ever. And then like you went home going, shit, I'm so happy like I went.
Well, that's the thing. I feel when I miss, I feel like I failed like part of my objectives in the day, especially when I'm doing like a stretch and I'm like, okay, I'm leaving for Greece in 10 weeks. Everything is schedule is down. I drove you crazy. Okay, we're coming every week this week. I want to work on this. And I tell people sometimes you need to find something to motivate you. You know, a vacation. You want to wear that dress or wear that bathing suit. Summer's coming. Set a goal. Put it up. Write it down. Find a coach.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
Whatever you want to do. It could be fitness, martial arts. It could be whatever it is. Just start moving.
Oh yeah, like you're absolutely right. Listen, like with all these couple of years that went by, like I told myself, listen, like I want to look like when I used to compete. I was 100.
Well, you do, man. Like now, I was like, shit, man.
I was 196, 197. You know, like I was in.
When we met, you were what?
195.
195.
Yeah. So I was like in good shape. You know, like I. Was,
you were in good shape.
Like I was giving a good example, but you know, I told myself, fuck it. Like I want to be like when I used to compete. Like I was in my competitive days. I was 170 pounds, 174, 173. I said, yeah, fuck it. Like let's do it. Like I'm gonna do it. So something worked for me. So I had good advice from Matthew Rusniak, which is from the 360 Punch and TriStar West, and Xavier Aloui. And these guys motivated me because I was watching them do this every day, and I go, how the hell am I do, guys? They go, just try fasting.
Intermittent fasting is the way to do it.
I tried it, and now it's like became a way of life for me. So I do it every freaking day. But now
you eat from what, 11 to 7, 12 to 8?
8:16. But sometimes like I could tough out until 18 hours or 19 hours.
Have you tried a 24-hour fast?
I did it one time on Mondays, but I find like it's a bit rough on me because it messes with my mindset, because like I'm very moody. So if like I push that, like I'm very like I'm gonna snap. And it's like, hey coach, fuck off. You know, sort of. So no, like I just set myself a goal, and I met a lot of different people. I met some positive people in my life, and I said, holy shit.
That's so important, man. Being around positive people. Like anybody toxic, negative, people who gossip. I just cut these people out of my life right away because it sucks your energy, man. You can't move forward. You can't create anything good being in a toxic environment.
Oh, you're telling me that. It's craziness. But we live in the martial arts environment, so there's always going to be toxic people. But fortunately, like I went to the TriStar West, which was 360 Punch, which is still 360, and I just said, hey, like I just need something new. Like it's challenging. Like I need something new here, and I met some amazing people, which had nothing to do with martial arts, had nothing to do with fighting, just like regular people, which I say, oh, they actually exist. Like good fucking people exist, because I thought I was the only one. Like not saying I'm good people. Like, I'm just saying, fuck, am I the only crazy bastard that thinks, you know? And then I met some individuals going, oh, okay, like I'm not alone, you know? So
let me ask you the question. I always ask this question at the end of the show. What's your rising moment? What's one of that moment? You know,
shit, like you got another 2 hours.
One story, when you close your eyes, that moment you look back and you be like, man, I remember that time I held that trophy, or I was there next to this person, or I did something that you always go back when you want to like boost that. You know, is it the first time you got up and walked? Is it the
sort of, but that's deep, Nick. Like, The day which I actually confronted my fears, and you're gonna laugh, my fear of flying.
No way.
I fucking hate
Now I'm gonna make fun of you.
Yeah, well, look, like,
but it's a common fear. Like I have a fear of
yeah.
snakes. I freaking hate snakes. Like, I've never seen them, but
well, look, like, it's not the biggest thing, but just on top of my head, like, not to associate it with martial arts, this and that. Like, I had to fly to Rio de Janeiro, like, I had to fly to Las Vegas, like, I had to fly this. And then I'm there, holy shit, it's true. Like, I am a coach. Like, I'm going to the UFC.
I'm gonna have to fly, get on a plane.
I totally forgot. I said, fuck, like, I'm gonna have to get on a plane, like, by myself, and like, I'm gonna have to fucking deal with turbulence. Like, I'm gonna have to deal with this. I'm gonna have to deal with that. For some people, like, they're, oh, like, you're a wuss, something, because I do this every day. But for me,
a fear is a phobia. People don't understand. It's not a fear. It's a phobia, and it doesn't make sense, but it's real.
Exactly. Like, so some people were making fun of me, going, holy shit, like, you rode motorcycles, you fought in full contact Kyokushin knockdown fights, you fought in boxing, like, you sparred some of the best fighters on the planet, like, you learned how to walk again, like, you had broken bones.
But I could.
But I'm scared shitless.
I could tell you why.
40,000
I could tell you why.
Because
Because all those you can control, but that plane is zero control.
No, exactly.
Like if it crashes, you're like,
I can't do shit.
You got to be like,
Yeah,
I'm basically
I can't. Look, like, I'm very.
How did you overcome it? Or you just said, fuck it, I'm going to get on the plane, just do
you.
it over and over and get it over with?
I said, fuck it. Like, if all these people are doing it, which are looking normal, and like these ladies are laughing and having a drink, and I'm there, holy shit, like I'm a full contact fucking champion.
Yeah, so, you have the woman having her, hey babe, see a gin and rum, gin coke.
So once, like, I was walking into planes, and I said, how stupid do I look like when I'm fucking like looking, like my eyes had fear in them, man. Like, some people were like talking to me like, are you okay, coach? I'm like, yeah, just don't bother me. So I realized I'm still not comfortable with it, but no problem. Like, I always confronted my fears.
Yeah.
I said, fuck it. Like, I'm going to go right through those doors. What is the worst something which could happen? Like, I crash, fucking die.
Fuck it. Yeah.
So, like, I had that crazy type of mentality. But then I looked around, I said,
but it's a good way to live, man.
Family, kids, old woman, this, that. I said, fuck.
But at least you were able to rationalize it and be like, you know what?
This is stupid.
This is stupid. I think it's sometimes just the simplest way to, you saved yourself a lot of money going to therapy. Who's going to
No, fuck that. Like, I just did it on my own, but I'm not saying, but I'm still not comfortable with it. But don't ask me. It's like, hey, like, let's fly there. No, dude, like, can we take a train first?
So Sandro, thank you for coming on the show. Now, where can people find you?
If people are interested in changing their lives, if they want to get fit, if they want to learn a striking art, if they're an amateur fighter and they want to become a pro fighter, or a pro fighter which wants to clean up his technique, his striking technique, make it Muay Thai, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, you can come and see me at the TriStar West Island. I think they have their internet site, TriStar Gym, TriStar Gym West Island.
Perfect. So we'll put the links, guys. So guys, I want to thank you for watching today's episode. Make sure to subscribe, to hit the bell, and we'll see you guys next week.